Hello, Standers. This is Sheila Hollinger with Marriage Revealed Ministries. Thank you for joining me today. This message is directed at those who are just in the early stages of standing, figuring it all out. This message is for those who are struggling with getting their eyes and focus, heart, off of the spouse and really centered on God, so they're not riding that up and down all over the place roller coaster. The title of this message is When You Are Not There Yet. And my hope is that when you listen to this message, it'll bring some clarity and understanding about the process that we have to go through to help us get to the place where we can get our focus on God, and to bring some understanding and clarity as to why you are struggling in that process, right? It is very normal, and I'm hoping that this message is really going to free you from some misunderstanding and misguidance that there's something wrong with you, or you're just lacking. So the process is a long one, right? For some, it's not as long as others. For some, it really depends on how much faith, how much trust in God, your relationship, your intimacy with God, with others. Like, there's so many factors that play into why you might be struggling with letting go and really trusting God. Like I said, it really depends on where you were at in your walk, in your maturity, with the Lord or with others. Sometimes it has nothing to do with God as much as it does maybe with how you relate to other people, and you just might be a person that does things on your own because you don't trust people, and that does weigh in and factor in on how you trust the Lord as well. So let's back up a little bit. So the whole point of standing is where you are just really releasing your spouse into the hands of God. And in the beginning of my stand, I took the reins and did it all on my own, right? I only went to God little by little, moment by moment, as I needed Him, and that all started to change as I failed over and over and over. And my friend, I did have a friend in the very, very early stage who kept, getting frustrated with me because she was trying to direct my eyes onto Jesus, and I would just bring the conversation back to my spouse over and over and over. And, eventually that relationship, she just let me go because she was frustrated. She could not get me to focus on the Lord. And I didn't want to focus on the Lord, right? I wanted to go to Him when I needed Him, but I wanted to put my focus on my spouse. And the reason for that was I still had a lot of ideas. I still had a lot of thoughts, a lot of what I thought was wrong. I still had a lot of fight in me to fix it. I still had a lot of, me. I was not ready. I was not there yet. Okay, and the Lord understands this. I understand it, right? I understand it now. I didn't understand it then. So when I see standers that are in that place where they are just really focused, laser focused, tunnel vision on their spouse, I know there's nothing that can be done until they exhaust that themselves in that place, right? That's what the Lord is really waiting for you to do. They're waiting for you to go through every plan that you create. They're waiting for you to have every conversation you think you need to have. They're waiting for you to go to every person you think you need to go to and send them to talk to your spouse. They're waiting for you to watch every video that you think you need to watch. He's waiting for you to exhaust yourself and come to the place where you finally say, I've done it all. Nothing is working. I cannot get my spouse to change. He's also waiting for you to come to a place where you say, I'm tired. I'm so tired of hurting. I'm so tired of crying. I'm so tired of being afraid. I'm so tired of being focused on my spouse. I don't want to be this person anymore. I want to be stable. I want to have peace. I want this now, right? I did not want that in the very beginning. I did not mind, and this sounds crazy, I didn't mind all the pain. I didn't mind all the chaos. I didn't mind the confusion, because whenever I had those places that I would come to, pain or fear or confusion, it would just make me press into my plans, my thoughts. How do I fix this? More and more and more. I would lay awake and hash plans out, what conversation I could do, who I could go to, right? So I didn't mind so much being in those places of fear and agony and worry and being distraught. I didn't mind it because, again, I still had a lot of fight in me to do this myself. I didn't know any other way. I'd never come to a place in my life where I had to understand and go through complete, total surrender and trusting God. I didn't have to. I had always been in a place where whatever was wrong, I could fix it, or I could work it through, or I could get through it, right? Either by myself or with my husband. And I didn't have my husband at this time, right? So I had to go through this by myself, and I was fine with that. I could do it, but I couldn't do it. That's what God is waiting for you to get to a place. There's nothing wrong with you, right? There's nothing wrong with you. You are walking the journey that just about every other stander has had to walk, where you come to a place where you're going through that pride and you're learning how to figure it out. You're learning how to recognize pride. You're learning how to recognize fear. You're learning how to recognize where you're not as trusting as understanding as you thought you were. You're learning to recognize where you are controlling or being manipulative. You're learning to recognize all these things. But the main point of this message is when you're just not ready yet. You're just not ready to say, I am going to get on my knees and say to God, I don't want to be this person anymore. I don't want to do this by taking the reins. I don't want to have tunnel vision. I want to learn how to put my focus on you and keep my focus on you. Now, a lot of people, a lot of standers, they come to this place where I call the crossroads, where they wake up one day and they say, I'm sick of hurting. I'm sick of being in this place. I have to make the choice now. Either I'm done. I'm out. I'm no longer standing. I'm going to do, I'm taking the path that I'm moving on and I'm giving up completely, right? Or they come to the other place, which is where God is trying to get them. And that's the place where they say, God, I'm not giving up on restoration, but I am giving up on me trying to do this alone. Or coming to you and having you help me. I'm going to come to the place where I'm just daily saying, God, help me get my focus off of my spouse and fix my eyes on you and learn how to rest in you, trust you, and stop picking this up day after day after day. And it's really a place where you just say, you know what, God, I don't want to think about my spouse every moment of the day. I don't want to think about what he's doing. I don't want to have to worry over and over and over about every little thing, about what I should say, what shouldn't I say. I don't want to have to search and read every article and watch every video and join every call and I don't have to get mentored and I don't have to do all this. I just need to rest in you and get my life back. I need to find me again. I need to focus on me. That's what the Lord is waiting for you to be ready to say, I am going to be okay in this place. And that's the message today. Okay? I really pray that you understand that you're not broken, not in that way. A lot of times we think that, I'm not there yet. I'm so different from everybody else around me. There must be something wrong with me. I must not have faith, or I must not have the trust yet. And that is partly true, right? We are all developing our faith. We're all developing more trust, more learning to be intimate with Him. But sometimes we get, beaten up by how different we are from other people, and we worry, why am I not getting it? Why am I, struggling so badly in this one area? It really is, because you just haven't got there yet, and it's okay. I was super stubborn, right? And you know that my stand was almost 7 years. And I started at the end, I started having so much, God, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to today I just want it to be me, myself, and God. I just want me, myself, and God. And I would go in my room and I would mentally put one of those, like the Little Rascals, no girls allowed. I would put no husband allowed. I'm going in my room and I'm going to block out, and I'm just going to lay there and praise and worship him. And I'm going to just think of God and learn about him. I'm going to open up the word, and I'm not going to look for scriptures on what to say to my husband or how to condemn my husband, or I'm not going to open up the word and search for things that fit into standing or fit into restoration. I'm going to open up the word and let you lead me, Lord, to teach me about you. I finally came to that place where I was just exhausted from the restoration that I was so desperately craving. Did that always happen? No. There were days I woke up and that fight was still in me, and I wanted, restoration, and I was back to square one. Yes, that was a process, but I started to have more and more and more days of just wanting Jesus, wanting to learn about him, wanting to understand him. And I will say that it really was hard for me to open up the word and not just find things to learn about him. So as I was searching for restoration things, but I was still learning about Jesus, okay? You cannot open up the word and read things and not glean from it, even when you don't realize you are, because that word is living, breathing. It is active. It will penetrate your spirit, your soul, fill you, feed you, and it will come back to you when you need it most. You might not realize that you're retaining things, that you're feeding your spirit, you're feeding your soul, you're transforming. You will, though, when you are just come to a space where all of a sudden you need something, and that scripture that you didn't even know you needed floods your mind, and it brings you comfort, and it comes alive, and you're like, oh, that's what that scripture meant. So keep reading, even if you think you have the wrong motives and the wrong ulterior, for doing it. Just keep reading. Read the word every day. When you're driving the car, have one of those Bible apps going that's reading the word to you, okay? Just get the word in you. Get his word in you. So again, it's okay if you're not there yet. It's okay if you're going through that process where you're still so focused on the Lord. On your spouse, and you're having a hard time. You might have every intention. You might say, I'm just going to focus on God right now, and your mind starts to immediately drift off to your spouse. It's going to happen, right? A lot of times I would have to start my time with God crying it all out, complaining about my spouse, getting it all out there, and then I would say, okay, I'm done. I'm going to focus on you now. But I had to work through my own issues, first. And sometimes that's what we have to do. We've got to lay it all out there. We've got to cry. We've got to kick. We've got to scream. We've got to rant. We've got to rage to the Lord, not to your friend, not to your parents, not to your siblings, right? Not to your spouse. Sometimes you just have to take it to God and let it all out. And then you can say, okay, now I'm going to do what I have to do. And I'm not telling you not to pray for your spouse, right? I'm not saying that. We definitely should be having some prayer time, but it doesn't have to take up your entire life, okay? It doesn't have to be nonstop, because you are always fighting for your spouse. You're always interceding for them, no matter what you're doing, right? You are one flesh with them. So you are always, as you're praying for yourself, you're praying for them. As you're interceding for yourself, you're interceding for them. You're always in prayer. As you're transforming, you are interceding. There's so much to intercession that you don't realize, right? As you're bettering yourself, you're strengthening your marriage. There's just so much there to understand. So, you can be praying for your spouse without becoming so weighted down and succumbing and You can uplift your spouse in all that you do, praising God, praising God, praising God, worshiping Him, right? These are all things that are part of your intercession, because as you're communicating with God, He's going to drop little things into your spirit to uplift. You know, when you're praying for yourself, Lord, I want to know you better. You can say, Lord, I want us to know you better. Lord, you know, I want to overcome pride. I would like my spouse to help her overcome pride. You can include your spouse into your prayers, right? But you don't have to be so focused on your spouse day in and day out, because sometimes we need that break. We need that little bit of mental clarity that comes, right? So I pray this message blessed you. I pray that you understand that there are places in you that still have to learn how to surrender to the Lord. And that is a process. It's a journey, right? It's a journey. So my prayers are with you. I love you all. If this message has touched you, if this message has blessed you, please sow a seed into our ministry. We are greatly appreciative of all the seeds that you guys sow. Love you all. God bless you. Bye.